Three gods, one universe. Brahma creates it, Vishnu protects it, Shiva destroys it. You probably heard this 100 times. It's the first thing anyone learns about Hindu mythology, the Tirumurti, the Holy Trinity. But here's the question almost everybody has in their mind, probably nobody asks it. Who created them? And the answer is going to depend entirely on who you ask. Walk into a South India and walk into a Vishnu temple, the priest will tell you Vishnu is the source of everything. Brahma is literally born from his body. Walk into a Shiva temple, you will hear the opposite. Shiva existed before time itself. Vishnu is just one of his forms, and so is Brahma. Ask Shakti priest, someone who worships the goddess, and they'll tell you both of these men are powerless. And including Brahma, all of them are created from Adi Shakti. Without her, they're nothing. That kind of contradiction is what you will hear at individual temples. Probably it's baked into the religion itself. And today, we're going through all of these answers Vedantic, Vaishnava, Shiva, and Shakti using the actual texts and tradition. Let us start with the most oldest and most abstract answer, the one that technically dissolves this entire question. In Vedantic philosophy, the Tirumurti are not beings that were created at all. They are described as functions or qualities of one single underlying reality called Brahman, formless, attributeless, beyond birth and death. This idea is laid out more clearly in Brahma Sutras, the foundational text of Vedanta attributed to sage Bharadanya, which opened with a line that all inquiry begins with the desire to know Brahman. Logic of Brahman is going like this. Brahman doesn't do anything because action implies change. Brahman is changeless. But the universe clearly does change. Things are born, sustained, and destroyed. So Brahman is described through three functional lenses depending on what's happening at that moment. When something is coming into being, that's called Brahma aspect. When something is sustained, that is Vishnu. When something is ending, that is Shiva. Same substance, three names for three jobs. This is actually the same logic how water flows. Water is not created every time it becomes ice or steam. It's just one substance taking different functional forms depending on the temperature. Tirumurti, in this view, is one reality taking different functional forms depending on cosmic timing, called yugas or Kala Chakra. If this were the only answer, this would be pretty short video, but almost no worshipper actually relates to Brahman as an abstract principle. Most people need a story, a face, a god they can pray to them first. And that's where things gets most interesting because three major traditions each claim their god to be the original one. Let's look at one by one. If you grew up around Vaishnava traditions, meaning worship centered on Vishnu, you've probably seen this image. Vishnu lying on a massive coiled serpent, floating on a cosmic ocean, fast asleep, and lotus flower growing out of his navel. Sitting on top of that lotus is Brahma. This image comes from Puranas, specifically texts like Bhagavata Purana and Vishnu Purana. It's not just decorative, it's a complete creation theology. Here is how it works. Before the universe exists, there's only Vishnu, resting in a state of a cosmic sleep on a serpent called Anandasesha, whose name literally means the endless one, floating on a cosmic ocean. This isn't death or absence, it's the potential. Everything that will exist already exists within Vishnu in seed form. When it's time for a new cycle of creation, a lotus grows from Vishnu's navel, and from that appears Brahma, who is seated on top of that lotus. Already alive, already conscious, but confused because he can see nothing except the lotus stem stretching down into the darkness and the ocean stretching out in every direction. He doesn't know where he is or who put him there. The Bhagavata Purana describes Brahma searching desperately along the stem of that lotus, trying to find its source, before eventually realizing he has to perform tapasya, an intense meditation, to understand his own origin. Vishnu eventually reveals himself and instructs Brahma on how to create universe, and that is his job. In this tradition, Shiva's origin is handled a bit differently, depending on the text. Sometimes, Shiva is described as emerging from Vishnu's forehead during the moment of anger. Sometimes, he is a pre existing cosmic force that Vishnu and Brahma must seek out and request. But through line is consistent. Vishnu is the unmoved source, and the other two emerge in response to a need. This is why, if you ever heard Vishnu is described as Narayana, meaning the one who rests on, moves on, the waters, that title that comes directly from this image. Is the one of his most common names for this reason. Now let's go to Shaiva tradition. The entire story flips. In Shiva centered texts, particularly Shiva Purana and Linga Purana, Shiva is not one of three gods. He is described as Parameshvara, the supreme reality that exists before Trimurti structure even forms. In his most formless state, he is referred as Sadasiva, the eternal Shiva, who exists beyond creation, beyond destruction, beyond the concept of time itself. Shiva Purana describes a moment where Brahma and Vishnu are arguing, each claiming to be the supreme being, the original source of everything. While they are in the mid of argument, a massive pillar of fire appears in between them with no visible beginning or end. Both gods are stunned. Vishnu transforms into a boar and digs downward thousands of years trying to find the base of the pillar. Brahma transforms into a swan and flies upward thousands of years trying to find its top, but neither succeeds. Neither find the edge of it. The pillar is Shiva, revealing himself as the Jyotirlinga, the infinite column of light. And the lesson embedded in the story is blunt. Even the creator or preserver cannot measure the destroyer's true form. This story is actually why Jyotirlinga shrines across India, specifically 12 of them, are considered some of the most powerful pilgrimage sites in Shaivism. Each one marks a place where that infinite pillar is said to have manifested. In this tradition, Brahma and Vishnu are not independent originators. They are described as emerging form from Shiva's own energy, sometimes through Shiva's anger, sometimes through meditation, depending on which Purana you are reading. But the hierarchy is just a mirror image of what we have discussed in Vaishnava section. Same three gods, completely opposite origin claim. And both traditions consider their version to be the literal truth and not the metaphor. The Shakti answer, the power behind the throne. Let's call her as the kingmaker. Here's where it gets more interesting, because there is a fourth tradition that looks at both of these arguments and says, you're both missing the actual point. In Shakti traditions, goddess centered worship, texts like Devi Mahamitya, a part of Markandeya Purana, and Devi Bhagavata Purana describe something different entirely. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are real. They do perform their respective functions, but none of them actually act without Shakti, the primordial feminine energy often personified as goddess Devi or Adi Parashakti. Devi Mahamitya makes this explicit claim in its most famous episode, when the gods are powerless against a demon called Mahishasura. It's not Vishnu or Shiva who defeats him. The combined energies, their Shakti of all three gods, pour out, merged, and emerged as a single being called Goddess Durga. She is the one who kills him. Male gods couldn't even. Their combined force is the one that externalized as goddess, the one that could kill the Mahishasura. This philosophical claim underneath is that Shiva without Shakti is described as Shava, a corpse or inert lifeless body. It's Shakti that animates him. It's Shakti that animates Vishnu into preservation. It's Shakti that animates Shiva into destruction. It's Shakti that animates Brahma into creation. Gods provide the form, but Goddess provides the force that makes the form do what it is supposed to do. So, depending on which temple you walked into, you'd hear Either Vishnu is the source or Shiva is the source, or actually none of them are anything without Devi. So, who is right? Here's the thing that took me a while to actually understand about this. Hinduism is not bothered by this contradiction. There is no Hindu equivalent church council that sat down and decided which answer was canonical. These four traditions, Vedanta, Vaishnavism, Shaivism, and Shaktism, developed in parallel, often in the same region, sometimes in same families, and religion simply let them coexist. A devout Vaishnava and a devout Shaiva can sit in the same room, both be completely sincere, and now anyway, and hold what it looks outside like a direct contradiction. And neither one is considered a heretic for it. If you came from a Western religious framework, this probably sounds very strange. Most traditions you have encountered build their authority on having one correct origin story, but only in Hinduism, the multiplicity is not a flaw to be resolved. It's treated as a feature. So, next time when someone tells you the Tirumurti was created by and gives you one confident answer, you know there are at least three temples ready to disagree that answer, and the fourth tradition that they may think they're all asking the wrong question. If you want the next video to go deeper into one of these texts or tradition, or you want other stories like full Samudramandyan story, the secret behind Vishnu's avatars, Jyotirlinga pilgrimage sites, they are Devi Mahamitya, just drop it in the comments. I'll make a video of it. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up, and if you want to see more contents like this in future, please do subscribe to Ask Mythology. Until then, thanks again. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.